call, David. We give you a gold star for today. It was in the cabinet underneath. I'll put it back.
Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you to this July meeting of our Randolph County Board of Commissioners. We are a little over halfway through this year, and time flies, I guess, when you're having fun, they say. But I don't know how much fun some of it is, but we're glad to have you here tonight to be a part of our meeting. We've got a couple recognitions tonight that are very special to this county and for a long time. And I know some of you are here for that. We have a fairly routine agenda. I don't think anything is going to take an awful lot of time. And we are streaming live, Facebook and YouTube, as we've been doing for the last several months. For those of you that are viewing, participating from home or wherever you are tonight, we welcome you as well. And thank you all for being here to be a part of our meeting tonight. So with that, Dr. Shackelford is going to have our invocation. Following that, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please stand?
Let us pray. Oh God, we're so thankful tonight that we are your children. It says in your word that before our mother even knew she was going to have a baby, you knit us together in her womb. Each one of us is here by your purpose and your design, and we pray that you would show us that purpose so that we can live our lives accordingly. We thank you for the opportunity to be here for this commissioners meeting. I thank you for these who serve, who give their time and their care and their energy to make our community a better place. We pray for those tonight who are less fortunate than us, all those who are grieving down in Miami where they can't find their loved ones, and those who've been suffering and dying from the heat and from COVID, and all the people who are struggling around the country. And we just realize that being here tonight in this air-conditioned place to watch our county government in action, that we're blessed. Bless those troops who protect our freedoms. Bless the first responders in our community who help keep us safe. Lord, we are so grateful for all that you've given us. And in closing, I want to pray tonight especially for the outcoming and the incoming mayor of Archdale and for the outgoing and incoming health department director. These are important positions in our community, and please lay your hand upon them and guide them as they go forward. We thank you for all that you've blessed us with. For it is in your holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Shackelford.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
Thank you, Dr. Shackelford. We do have some special recognitions tonight, and I'll say a little bit more about that in just a moment, but Dr. Shackelford happened to mention in his prayer tonight, I think last month Louis Dorsett was here as acting mayor of Archdale, interim mayor, I'm sorry. Tonight he's here as the mayor of Archdale, so we welcome Louis, and Zeb Holden, Archdale city manager, is with us. Of course, they're here tonight escorting my friend Bert Stone, who is a former mayor of Archdale for a long, long time, and we're going to have more to say a little bit later. And several folks from the health department are here tonight. I see Dr. Lee, who was past chairman of our public health board, and all of you are special guests tonight, whether you're here in person, whether you're watching at home. And we're pleased to have you as your interest in county government. We do have two special recognitions tonight. These two ladies represent 65 years of service together in Randolph County. That is a great achievement. I looked up the word stalwart, and stalwart means loyal, reliable, and hardworking. And I would say that is most fitting for these two ladies tonight. And we're going to do them individually to give them their individual recognitions, but we say, and for those of you that are here tonight to be a part of the process, again, we welcome you and your interest. So with that, I'm going to call on Tara Aker, our new public health director, to have some comments about Susan Hayes.
Good evening, everybody. Public Health Director Susan Hayes retired June 1st after Okay, we'll start again.
It's okay.
Yes, it is. Public Health Director Susan Hayes retired June 1st after spending more than half of her life working for Randolph County. Over the past 34 years, Susan spent her entire public health career aimed at making Randolph County and the people who lived here the healthiest in North Carolina. She loves public health. She loved being in public health, and she especially loves the public health staff who work tirelessly for the betterment of the community. Susan joined Randolph County Public Health as the county nutritionist and WIC director. After serving in that position for several years, she was promoted to assistant health director, where she served in that position for 22 years. In January 2016, Susan became public health director. In her 5.5 years as director, she accomplished many things, including she implemented electronic health records. Up until that time, we were all paper. She also implemented electronic databases in our dental clinic, our environmental health programs, and in animal control. She established an opioid collaborative. She increased our dental clinic capacity by bringing on board a full-time dentist. She increased our medical clinic capacity by bringing on board another full-time practitioner. She increased our health education capacity by expanding our services. We had one health educator when she became health director. Now we have 3, one of those being fully bilingual. She significantly increased our grant funding so that we can expand the services that we provide. From 2010 to 2015, the health department received about $35,000 in grants. In the time Susan was health director, from 2016 to the time she left, June 1st, the health department had been awarded nearly $465,000 in grants. That doesn't include the $375,000 grant that we were just notified of a couple of weeks ago, which she had a hand in. So that brings just over $840,000 in grants that Susan had a hand in bringing into public health. Susan strongly advocated for animal control to become a standalone department. And last but certainly not least, she led our COVID-19 pandemic response. While her public health family will miss her, and we already do, Susan is looking forward to spending more time with her husband of 41 years, David, her son, Will, her daughter-in-law, Abby, I think especially her 2-year-old granddaughter, Wren, and her mom, Janice. Her dog, Sawyer, Huck, and her cat, Ray, will likely enjoy her being around a little more, too. Thank you, Susan. Congratulations.
Susan, you want to come on out? We ordinarily have our the one we're recognizing to come up and get the clock that I'm sure everybody's. No, you just stay right back there. We're going to do this a little different tonight.
He got bossy when I left.
I'm not your boss. We're going to come out there to you. Okay? All right, folks. Appreciation to Susan Hayes, recognition of 34 years of service, July the 6th, 2021, by the Randolph County Board of Commissioners. Put something real special where you can see it.
I will do that. Thank you.
When Susan submitted her resignation letter, her retirement letter, there's a couple of comments here that I wanted to kind of make a comment or two about. So while we've had many public health challenges in 5.5 years, I've served as health director. Our staff and I have always kept our eye on the prize. And that was, she mentioned many challenges, but nothing like she's faced in the last 15 months, any of us. I could say a whole lot more about this last 15 months. There was an edginess to it. There was always a deep concern all around and how best to deal with that. And as all of you know, and I'll guarantee you in this room, there were many opinions on how that ought to be done. And she dealt with every one of them every day. That came with her job. She didn't ask for it. I commented at one of the high school graduations about teachers trying to teach during the pandemic. And I made a statement that no course they ever took in college prepared them for how to teach in the last year and a half. I would say the same thing about Susan. I doubt you ever had a course that taught you what to do in the middle of a pandemic. So they were making decisions daily. And this is the one that I especially want to mention. Have always kept our eye on the prize, preserving, protecting, and improving the health of our community. And that says it all about Susan. And our appreciation to you for a job well done. Now, I do have one more presentation to make tonight for you. This is from the state of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, Governor, reposing special confidence in the integrity, learning, and zeal of Susan D. Hayes. I do by these presents confer the Order of the Longleaf Pine, and with the rank of Ambassador Extraordinary, privileged to enjoy fully and all rights granted to members of this exalted order, among which is the special privilege to propose the following North Carolina toast in select company anywhere in the free world. Here's to the land of the longleaf pine, the summer land where the sun doth shine, where the weak grow strong and the strong grow great. Here's to down home, the old North State. Very deserving. God bless you. Appreciate it.
Feel like this is a Wizard of Oz.
Susan, Hazel. I know you're not going to keep it in that box, but you can take it. You go.
I just want to thank everybody. Y'all have got the best public health department in North Carolina as far as I'm concerned. You've got the best staff in North Carolina. They've done tremendous work and are continuing to do tremendous work. And I appreciate so much those that are here to show me their support tonight, and I just want them to know that. But I appreciate y'all. I know we've had challenges. We've had things we needed to talk about and discuss, and I hope through all that we've come out better because of our opportunity to do that. So y'all have a hard job, just like health directors and mayors and directors of social services and on and on and on. Thank y'all for your support, for your county agencies and your department heads, because they need you. And they have really hard work to do. So thank y'all so much for what you do. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask our Archdale delegation, Mayor Burt, you'll always be mayor, so would you and Lewis and Zeb all come up, please? This is a special honor for me in a number of ways. I am a resident of the city of Archdale. Burt has been my mayor for all these years. But more than that, Burt and I became neighbors on the same street in February of 1970. So I've known her for 51 years. As my friend, as a person, and my neighbor. We broke bread together, grilled some hamburgers, made some ice cream. And then her husband, Bruce, was on Archdale City Council. And then when Bruce passed away, Mayor Burt took his seat and then became the mayor in 2000. I know she's the longest-serving female mayor, and I'm pretty sure the longest-serving mayor at all in Randolph County. And that's a great distinction, but it is certainly earned, and it's been good for our community. It's been good for the county because she has represented this county outside the borders of Randolph County, and she has represented us very well and has distinguished herself and this county in a number of ways. And she is to be given credit for that and our great appreciation. She served 8 years on the city council and then 21 years as mayor. So she served 29 years in public service in Archdale and the surrounding area. And we have a resolution, Bert, and I'm going to read it. Whereas Mayor Bertha, but in parentheses, Bert Lance Stone moved to Archdale, North Carolina in 1969, the same year Archdale was incorporated. And whereas Mayor Stone worked 29 years with the Federal Probation Office in Greensboro, and whereas Mayor Stone's late husband, City Councilman Bruce Lance, passed away in 1992, and Mayor Stone was appointed to finish his term. And whereas Mayor Stone's invaluable leadership led her to being selected as Randolph County's second female mayor in August of 2000. And whereas public service involvement has always taken an active role in Mayor Stone's life, including involvement with the Archdale Trinity Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, Piedmont Triad Council of Government, High Point MPO Transportation Advisory Committee, Randolph County Tourism Development Association Board of Directors, Randolph County Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors, Rotary Club of Archdale Trinity, Randolph Senior Adults Association Board of Directors, Northwest Randolph Arts Guild, Randolph County Arts Guild, Randolph Community College Community Advisory Council. Whereas Mayor Stone's efforts have led to awards such as the Asheboro-Randolph Chamber's Athena Award for Leadership in 2014, whereas in 2017, Mayor Stone's stature in the Archdale community resulted in the creation of the Burt Lance Stone Chamber of Commerce Lifetime Achievement Award given in her honor, which is an award given annually to a resident who has made extraordinary sacrifices for the betterment of the Archdale Trinity community. And whereas Mayor Stone has been a tireless advocate for children, including raising money for and volunteering for the Randolph County Partnership for Children, the Randolph County School System, Mayor Stone has served as a judge for senior projects, junior achievement, and the North Carolina Future Business Leaders of America, the state conference in Greensboro. She has often volunteered to speak to organizations such as Boy and Girl Scouts or read to students on Dr. Seuss's birthday. I hope they keep letting you do that. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Randolph County Board of Commissioners acknowledges the steadfast commitment of Mayor Bertha Lance Stone to the city of Archdale and the citizens of Randolph County. And be it further resolved that the commissioners express their sincere gratitude for the many years of service Mayor Stone has given to the citizens of Randolph County and offer her their best wishes in her retirement. Love you, Bert. This is a little certificate. This certificate is awarded to Mayor Bertha Lance Stone in grateful appreciation for your years of dedicated service to the citizens of Randolph County by the Randolph County Board of Commissioners, July 6, 2021. God bless you.
I'm not sure I did all those things.
Did do those things, you're a classy lady.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very nice of y'all. Do I have to say anything? I just want to say it's been a wonderful experience to be a part of Randolph County and the city of Archdale, and I've made so many wonderful friends since I've endeavored upon this exciting adventure. And I thank the commissioners for all the support that you've given us in Archdale, and we've worked on several projects together, and you've always been there for us. And I appreciate this and your honor here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank all of you for being here again, and it is special to recognize these folks tonight. And they say sometimes thank you is never enough, but a great deal of gratitude goes to these two and their service to the county. All right. Public comment. Do we have anyone to speak tonight? All right. No public speakers. So we will go to our consent agenda. Any questions? Anyone want to take one of those items out or entertain a motion?
I want to ask Kenny Sharon where the pesticide recycling is going to be. That's in our consent agenda.
Turn the mic around while you're there.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Kenny.
Yes, it's a grant that Blake was able to acquire from the North Carolina Department of Agriculture to place another recycling bin at the Liberty Farm and Garden.
Okay,
up
so
in Liberty.
there's already one there.
Right.
Okay.
And this, the state's giving us the money and we're just sort of pushing it right back out, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah, it's got a washing mechanism to it. It enables them to clean it out and do it a little bit different, so.
But it is permanent.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Question?
Good, thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Okay, do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Move approved
Do I have a
consent
second?
agenda.
Second, Mr. Kidd. Those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no. And the consent agenda is approved. Our new business, the tax assessor does her annual report, and then we'll receive her charge to collect the new taxes.
Good evening, and I hope everyone had a good Fourth. It feels like I'm doing these things twice a year. It's coming around so often anymore. But as required by the General Statute 105-373, the tax collector is required to give an annual settlement report for the last fiscal year before being charged to collect the next year's levy. I have given you a handout, and I'm just sort of going to go through that, and I'm just going to start off with the highlights. The 2021 overall collection rate for all districts was 99.30% for real estate, business, individual, and individual personal property. The collection rate for the county only was 99.25. It is an increase over last year. Last year, the collection rate for overall for all districts was 99.03, and the county's rate was 98.96. Excuse me. The 2021 delinquent taxes is $738,748.93. The delinquent taxes for all years is $2,101,009.35. These amounts includes $184,701.68 due to bankruptcy and the property tax appeals that have not been adjudicated yet, which is $23,175.67. That total is $207,877.35, which represents 9.89% of the uncollectible. So that does affect our delinquent taxes. The registered motor vehicle collection percentage is 99.45. This percentage is for all the taxes that are paid at the time of the tax renewal. The amount of discount given for early payment was $1,460,236. This represents 68.96% of all the annual taxes are paid during the discounted period. So our citizens they do take advantage of this 2% discount. And also, of those, 18,000 of those accounts are in escrow, or escrow accounts that have to pay during that discounted period. The minimum tax report, this means that we have a resolution in Randolph County that any tax bill that is $350 or less, we do not mail and release. That amount was $4,011. That's 2,090 bills and the average bill on that is $1.92. We try very hard that if somebody has listed something separate, that we find another account they have, that we can put that item on that other account so that it won't get released. The number of property tax bills that were mailed for 2021 was 99,819 bills. Taxes were paid on 158,611 registered motor vehicles at the time of the renewal. That's over 7,000 more vehicles this year than it was last year. We did have a billing of 4,843 tax bills for gap bills, but that is 1,037 less than last year. So people paid their taxes more timely on those registered vehicles when their tax expired instead of letting it go longer. Due to the COVID-19, the tax department, we only held one tax foreclosure sale during this last fiscal year, and that was the restraints that was due to the courthouse, the clerk of court's time. The next page is just the balance sheet of the actual breakdown. After the gross levy, the total gross levy minus the discounts, minimum bills, releases and adjustments, appeals, the net levy for the 2021 year was $105,871,916. And the total, the delinquent taxes, I've already said, is $2,101,900, and the current year is $738,748.93. The bottom part just breaks down the releases, the minimum bills, and then the other fees that we've collected. That $693,353 is for late list penalties, for dog fees, city tax, city vehicle tax, garnishment fees, certified letters, and legal fees. If you look at the graph I've included, you can see that the first through the time we mail the bills in mid-July, and for this year we'll be mailing those bills July the 19th. From the time we mail the bills until through the discounted period of August 31st, we collected 69% of the taxes. Then before the taxes become delinquent on January the 6th, we have collected 95% of the taxes due. Then we spend the next 5 months trying to collect that last 5%. And that's where the hard work comes in for staff and everybody, trying to collect that last 5%. The delinquent taxes is broken down by $494,427.35 for the real estate taxes. The public utility, we had one bill of $6.77. The business personal property is $72,885.15, and the individual personal property is $171,429.66 for the total of $738,748.93. Out of that, $38,152.54 is for those gap bills. Those gap bills are where people let their tags expire, they don't renew on time, and we have to create that tax bill for the difference between the tag expired and the tag renewing. That represents about 5% of the total overall collections. Delinquent taxes, excuse me. For bankruptcy, this year, the bankruptcy delinquent taxes is $62,909.74. That is higher than the previous year, but the overall total for the bankruptcy, the $184,701.68, is actually right at $50,000 less than last year. So there was several coming out of bankruptcy this year and paid. The state average is 99.07, so I am proud to say that Randolph County is above that collection rate. And that's a quick synopsis and a lot of numbers, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions?
Good information.
Any questions?
Very thorough.
Well, you can take this home and study it.
Yeah, I'll be studying it tonight.
You know, standing before four CPAs and a financial advisor, I had to make sure my numbers was correct before I got here.
Okay. To Deborah P. Hill, Tax Collector of the County of Randolph. You are hereby authorized, empowered, and commanded to collect the taxes set forth in the tax records filed in the office of the county assessor and in the tax records herewith delivered to you, in the amounts and from the taxpayers likewise therein set forth. Such taxes are hereby declared to be a first lien upon all real property of the respective taxpayers in the county of Randolph, and this order shall be a full and sufficient authority to direct, require, and enable you to levy, own, and sell any real or personal property of such taxpayers for and on account thereof in accordance with the law. This is witnessed my hand and seal, Darrell Fry, Chairman, Randolph County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you.
So,
We need a motion.
motion.
I make a motion that we charge Deborah Hill to collect the fiscal year 2021-22 taxes per stat in North Carolina General Statute 105-321B.
Second.
Any other discussion? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those no. And you have been duly charged.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is to consider the purchase of 911 radio consulate replacements. Donovan Davis.
Thank you, Chairman. Good to see everybody. Hope you had a good 4th. It was very busy for us over the weekend, but it was nothing too major, so we're pleased about that. I'm here today to request that we purchase some radio consulate replacements at our backup center. The consulete's a radio that connects to our radio dispatch consoles. It's essentially what makes it work. And it's on our Motorola MCC 5500 in the primary and backup centers. However, this is only for the backup center. There are one or more consulates for each agency that we dispatch for, as well as the channels we're required to have by the state or Air Medical Transport, other agencies like that across the state. Working with our authorized Motorola Solutions representative, we've received a quote from Mobile Communications America of Fayetteville for the total amount of $216,578.14. The amount is separated into two requests, $195,182 for equipment and $21,395 for installation that includes tower and antenna work that's associated. The equipment is purchased or will be purchased through North Carolina State Contract 725G. The funds are available in my budget because of the personnel savings we had that were offset by the CARES Act, so that the funds are available. Commissioner McDowell had a good question earlier prior to the meeting about would this affect anything in the field, and it does not. It's simply equipment that remains in the backup center that makes those consoles work. So just to make sure that's clear. My request for the board is to award the purchase of 17 radio consulates and associated equipment to Motorola Solutions for $195,182.65. Award the tower antenna work to Mobile Communications America for the amount of $21,395.79, and authorize the county manager to sign any and all associated contracts. Happy to answer any questions.
Just for clarity, you say the current budget, since we're in July, but you're still
Yes, the
referring
new
to your
budget.
2021 budget.
Yes, we were able to carry it over
Right.
from the previous budget.
Right. Any other questions?
All right, so I'm a little slow with this stuff.
Okay.
So you're replacing the tower.
No, we're replacing, if you've ever been in a police car and seen their mobile radios, it's bigger than that. It works our consoles in the communications center. But as we replace those, we're also going to run new lines up the tower that's already over there. So it's just antenna.
Okay,
Make sure the
Gotcha.
integrity's still good.
Rewiring.
okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you.
Gotcha, okay.
Is that the result, or the reason, I mean, are the new consulates causing that to be done, or is that just to be
It's a
done?
mix of things, but they're about 10 years old, so they're aging out, and we just need to replace them to make sure they are in top shape to operate.
Well, I mean, the tower being separate and doing something with the wiring on the tower,
Right.
is that because of the replaced ones? Or is that just
Yes,
need to be
it's
done?
because of the replacement and to make sure the integrity stays with working together, the antenna and the consulates, we have to marry them up. So that's the reason we're doing a little bit of tower work as well.
I understand. The other question I had was on, it is a question, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Equipment quote is through the NC state contract,
Correct.
and the figure we got here is the 216. Is that's after the contract discount?
No, the total, so the equipment itself, the consulates and the antenna, all of the equipment is the 195, 182. That's
Okay.
purchased through the contract.
Right.
Our authorized dealer is Motorola Solutions out of, Mobile Communications out of Fayetteville. That's who we have to deal with. So their installation fee is $21,000. So it totals $216, but they're two separate.
Right, and I
Agreements.
understand that. I'm not questioning that. What I'm saying is the 195,
Yes, correct.
okay? That's through the state contract.
Yes. So it's already been bid
It's
for
already been bid in the discount. you
best
get from
prices,
the
yes.
state.
That's
You
a
have
net.
An idea of what that figure would be without that discount? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Oh, the percentage discount, I don't. I can get that for you.
This is a net number.
It is a net number, yes.
That's, yeah.
Yes.
That's a net number, no.
It is.
Okay.
I'm happy to look into it and I'll email you.
I appreciate that.
Just for curiosity,
Just a
yeah.
matter of curiosity.
Right.
What did that cost, and then what is the figure? I realize the figure to us is 195.
Right. Yeah. There is a discount, but I'm not sure. And it probably varies by pieces of equipment.
Now, are these going to be good? I understand the Viper thing.
Yes.
Is going to be, the state's going to require this to be.
Yes.
In 2025?
Yes.
Are
This,
these consulates going to be good for that?
Yes.
Past that?
it will have the DTMF, all of the requirements of that new change.
Yeah.
It'll have them already built into this, so we won't have to do anything else with these. Now, eventually, we will have to replace the consulates at the headquarters, the main 911 center, but that'll be a couple of years.
But they have you said before, a life of about 10 years?
Correct. Yeah, eventually they'll issue the official end of life. We're pretty sure it's coming. But just because they've been on for 24/7, for 10 years, I just need to make sure the integrity of it is there to continue on.
So these will have about 3 years. Are you going to switch out then, or will
No,
they go?
these will
on
not.
forever?
These will go on for 10 years, we hope.
Okay,
Unless Motorola or the state changes something we're not aware of. These should last us another
7
8 to 10 years, yeah. Now, like I said, we'll have to replace the ones at the main center, probably 2 or 3 years.
And these are right here at the backup center.
They are at the backup center,
I
yeah.
was going to ask, does this have anything to do with our backup
Yeah, this is solely for the backup center.
part of this will go there also?
All of this will go at the backup.
So it's accessing the same,
Yeah, it's all in the same stuff, it's just 2 separate locations.
so if you do one, you do both?
Correct.
Okay. All right, other questions? Good question. Okay, I have a motion to approve the purchase. Again, this is in the old fiscal year ended June 30.
Well, it was carried over, so it is in the new fiscal year.
It'd be
The
encumbered.
money's already there.
Correct. It's already in a line
I'll
item.
make a motion to award the purchase of 17 radio consulates and associated equipment to Motorola Solutions $195,182.65 to award the tower antenna work to Mobile Communications America for the amount of $21,395.79, and to authorize the county manager to sign all associated contracts.
Thank you, Hope. Have a second?
Second.
Second. Commissioner Kidd, other discussion? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those no, and it's approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, our 21-22 classification pay plan. Jill?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, wait a minute. We're gonna have to take a recess here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Chairman Fry, members of the board. Tonight, I am requesting your approval of the 2021-2022 Randolph County Classification Plan to be effective July 1st, 2021. Your approval is required pursuant to our Randolph County Employee Policies and Procedures Manual, and also so that we will be in compliance with General Statute 126 provisions known as the State Human Resources Act. And then, as you can see on the memo, the proposed plan includes the following changes. We did add 8 position titles this year, and they range anywhere from the Assistant DSS Director down to Veteran Service Officer. And then there were 3 title or grade changes, positions that were either, had a, well, as I said, had a title change or were moved to a different grade. And if you all want to see the full plan, I do have a copy. It's just the different plans. And I am including the tourism development. Their board approved theirs, but when we post them all together, we will post their TDA class plan with ours as well.
They're part of our classification plan.
Right. They're a piece of it, yes, sir, but theirs is on a separate plan.
This is to reflect changes in our budget.
Right. Different job titles that were added, different classifications. If they moved from one grade to another, this reflects all of those changes. It also reflects the 3% COLA market adjustment that was approved. So the numbers, the salaries have changed on this class plan. Mm-hmm.
Okay, questions of Jill? Any questions? Okay, need a motion to approve changes in the classification pay plan.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request for the adoption of the 2021-22 classification and pay plan.
Have a second?
Second.
Further discussion or questions? Okay, those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those no, and they are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Okay, Amy, public hearing for Piedmont Natural Gas right-of-way.
All right, so Peapod Natural Gas has requested an easement on county property that is part of the Greensboro Randolph mega site. The easement is located on a parcel owned by the county that is located kind of at the corner of the intersection of Julian Airport Road and Crutchfield Farm Road. I think you have a map in your packet so you can see it. The tract is approximately 1.32 acres in size, and the requested easement, it essentially consists of 2 parts. One is a permanent easement, approximately 75 feet long and 30 feet wide, along the Julian Airport Road side of the property. And that's for the purpose of constructing, installing, and maintaining 1 or more pipelines to service the mega site. The easement also consists of a utility station site easement. And that is for the purpose of constructing and maintaining a utility station, which would be necessary for the provision of natural gas to the mega site. And as you can see, the utility station site essentially covers the entire parcel. You should have a copy of that in your packet, and if you intend to consider granting the easement, we will need to set a public hearing on the matter for your next meeting on August 2nd.
So tonight, we are going to set a public hearing,
Yes, sir.
and that would be at our August, what's the date? Second, at 6:30?
I have started advertising them to say that the public hearing will be held at a meeting that begins at 6 p.m. And that way, when you get to it on the agenda, you can go ahead and have it. So if you got to it on the agenda at 6:15, you wouldn't have to wait till 6:30. So if you just set it for that evening, I'll,
Set the public hearing at the meeting August the 2nd, beginning at 6.
yeah, at a meeting beginning at 6. Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion?
Absolutely, so moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to hold a public hearing to consider a Piedmont Natural Gas right-of-way across property that the county owns within the Piedmont Triad, the Greensboro Randolph mega site. All right,
Could we ask representatives of Peapod Natural Gas to be here?
Yes, I can do that. I have a contact
I'd like to
person.
know a little bit more what this utility service station easement, what actually they're talking about.
I can make that request for sure.
other questions, comments? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those no, it's approved. Thank you, Amy. You're going to have?
I've got the next item too.
Greensboro Water Agreement. Yes.
Yes, the county received a request from the city of Greensboro that they be allowed to purchase water from our allocation of treated water from the Piedmont Triad Regional Water Authority on an emergency as-needed basis. So working with the city, we negotiated the proposed water agreement that is included in your agenda packet. As you can see, the agreement would allow the city of Greensboro to purchase up to 1.25 million gallons of treated drinking water per day for so long as the agreement is in effect. But it is important to note that the availability of water for purchase pursuant to that agreement is totally under the control of the county. The agreement specifically states that Randolph County's first obligation is to its citizens, and that the water available for purchase at any given time is only that over and above that needed by Randolph County citizens and municipalities, and is subject to change over time in accordance with the county's needs. So during the first year of the agreement, the purchase price for the water is $3.25 for each unit of 1,000 gallons actually transferred from the county to the city. The price would be adjusted each fiscal year by the same percentage as any increase in the rate established by the Piedmont Triad Regional Water Authority. And the agreement may be terminated by either party at any time on 30 days' notice. So we're not locked into it forever or anything like that. If you do vote to approve this agreement, the city of Greensboro plans to consider it at their July 20th meeting. And I can answer some questions. I'm sure Mike can answer some questions. Paxton Mike can answer questions.
Why do you think they are approaching us with a more formal, with this agreement now? Is any impetus behind it, or?
I do not know. I know they have had similar agreements in the past and may still have similar agreements with Jamestown.
They reached out a couple of years ago. They needed some during peak seasons. They had some downtime, I think, with one of their water treatment plants while they're doing some cleaning and that sort of thing. So they were looking for an emergency source. And so that started the conversation. But I imagine some of it might be used for the mega site as well, too.
And we get some revenue for water we're not using.
Right.
I didn't know what it's a pretty loose agreement as
Yes.
far as not much of a commitment other than the price, really.
Right.
That's right. You know, it's clearly, I guess you wrote it.
They submitted an agreement and we drastically changed it. So I didn't write it from scratch, but we did make a lot of changes to it, particularly in terms of the control of how much water is sold. Initially, it was entirely at Greensboro's option, and we felt like we needed to protect our citizens and their need for water. So in case something comes up and we need to use it, we wanted that ability.
But have they ever used any of it, Will? I don't,
We haven't had an agreement with them.
but they've never asked us on like a daily basis or anything. Okay.
You feel comfortable with the price negotiated?
I will defer to Will on the price.
It's more than what you go pay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they consider a capital reimbursement to it, so I think what Archdale had was less than $250 a few years ago, and this is $325, so.
Other questions? Okay, do I have a motion? What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the water purchase agreement with the city of Greensboro to sell them treated water under the conditions stated here.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And it's approved.
All right, thank you.
Amy. All right, our rural health stabilization loan. Will, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Didn't really know whether we were going to get to this point. But since the American Healthcare Systems has purchased the assets of the hospital, and they're starting to ask about the funding from the Rural Healthcare Stabilization Loan, we needed to put this on the agenda, kind of go ahead and talk through several different action items. And I can go through all of these individually, or if you want to take them one by one, we can do a vote individually, so.
Well, we've all had the narrative, right? Just, you can give us an
Okay.
a review of
Each of the four items? Okay.
what it really means.
Okay.
What we expect from them, I think, is probably the question from this board, which so far has been lacking.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead and cover all the different items, and some of them are dealing with contingencies, and some of them we might continue to add contingencies as we go through. We had public hearings. One was for the DAVA, and then when American Healthcare Systems outbid them and took over, we had a second one to apply for the funding from the state. And we went through the process of the application, went to the process with the local government commission. During that process, what the application requested, the $20 million, got moved down to $12 million. So what we're talking about is $1 million a year plus 1% interest for 12 years. When the local government commission approved the loan, it had four contingents. So there's four things that need to be accomplished. One was, at the time, the Attorney General had not approved the sale. That was a requirement of the bankruptcy process. My understanding is that has happened, but we don't have the documentation in hand yet. The second item, there was a feasibility study done, and the study came out at the end and said the business plan was feasible. What the local government commission wanted to do was to have something that they could overrule UNC, which weren't supportive of the application. And there is specific language in the general statute that created the stabilization fund. And what this requirement does is require the VMG study to be upgraded with an opinion that says that it's a financially sustainable healthcare service model. That's language that was right out of the legislation. So we're still waiting for that. Randolph County receives 2 seats of full voting powers on the governing board of the corporation. So you're going to be discussing that here shortly, who those appointments are going to be. And the fourth one had to do with protecting the county and the state citizens that are making this investment in the new hospital. So we're charged with making sure that we have adequate security interest in the amounts that cover. So we'll be talking about some of those. We don't have the document from the state yet. Our bankruptcy attorney, Christy Myatt, has drafted something and has submitted it. There's not a final document yet. And so what we're going to ask you to consider tonight is to approve the acceptance of the Rural Healthcare Stabilization Program loan of the $12 million that was approved, but it's still subject to the conditions as requested by the Local Government Commission, and to authorize the chairman to sign the loan documents when they are available. So the first thing is the board needs to accept the $12 million from the state, the loan, and we'll move on from there, but that's the first action item. Excuse me. The next piece of this is once we have the money, then we need to have a contract with American Healthcare Systems. So we need to consider the documentation that's necessary to protect ourselves with that loan and make sure that the money's used the way we expect it to. The way we have this structured is it's a forgivable loan. We have loan payments, principal and interest that we pay the state. The document with American Healthcare Systems mirrors that payment, the $12 million, 1% a year. But because it's forgivable, if they are operating the hospital in accordance with what the terms of the contract are, then for that year, we'll pay that debt service, which was the intent, I think, from the beginning, that we were going to cover that debt service. So as long as they operate the hospital. What the contract with American Healthcare System says is they have several covenants. They're going to maintain acute healthcare hospital, minimum 49-bed inpatient. So that was our minimum that we wanted to see in this arrangement. That would include 5 general operating rooms plus an additional suite for C-sections, emergency room with 15 bays to be open 24/7, 365. Also in the contract is references to services inpatient facility would include, but not limited to, intensive care, general surgery, orthopedic, and maternity, OB/GYN. The security provisions is kind of a 3-legged stool. You've got 2 members of county commissioners that will be on the corporate board. You've got a deed of trust on real and personal property. So the loan that they sign, there'll be a deed of trust. So there's like 12 parcels. So the 12 parcels and the equipment, and of course the loan will provide better equipment, better investment in that facility. So we'll have a deed of trust on that. And then finally, our intention is to hold the loan proceeds until we get specific requests for specific invoices for the capital improvements, and so we know what the money's used for. So the second action item tonight would be to approve the promissory note and loan agreement with American Healthcare Systems. Again, we're not signing them, but these are the terms that we would require from American Healthcare Systems. So far, they have not signed this document yet, but we want to make sure that you all are in agreement that that's the contract that we want to see them sign. The third action item is once we receive the money from the state, we need to have a fund to account for it properly. So adopting the Rural Healthcare Stabilization Capital Project Ordinance will give us a place to put that money and to make the distributions. So that would be the third action item. And then the fourth action item is verbally, they have made a request for an initial $3 million from this fund. Still a lot of things up in the air with regards to that. Don't have anything in writing, although we requested that. But $3 million, they were wanting the check just as soon as possible, as early as tomorrow, in fact. But we don't have anything in writing, but I think their intention, based on a meeting we had last week, was to get started with some of the capital improvements. If the board chooses to make that $3 million available to them, once all the documentation's done, once the IRS form, W-9, so we can set them up as a vendor, all the different things that we've requested. Once that's in place, then we can cut that check if the board wants to advance money. If you want to set it aside and pay invoices or reimburse them for invoices, we can do it that way with the rest of the money.
Just for the public, those of you that are here tonight and those that might be watching, this rural hospital stabilization loan is set up by the state of North Carolina late in 2019. It was funded with $20 million. Randolph County originally applied for the whole $20 million. This goes all the way back to the first potential buyer we had for the hospital, and that was the DAVA. UNC was to approve the plan, and the local government commission was to approve the county's borrowing the money. UNC did not approve the plan. Local government commission would not approve the $20 million loan. So based on a capital expenditure budget provided by the new buyer, we lowered that request to $12 million, and the local government commission has approved that. Now, we have said, as Will has outlined here, several documents that the new buyer has to sign in order for us to, we have to have the security before loaning the money to them. Well, actually, we're not loaning it to them. It is a grant to them, a forgivable loan to be paid back. Right now, the legislation requires UNC Hospital to be responsible for administering that $12 million loan for its entire duration. And the schedule that Will showed is 12 years. UNC has petitioned the state of North Carolina to remove them, release them from that administrative responsibility. That has not been discussed or has not been changed as of right now, as of this afternoon in talking with our legislators. So the new buyer, though, is needing money. So the discussion right now, the proposal is that we set up the Healthcare Capital Project Fund, a budget for this $12 million, that we advance $3 million to that till we borrow the money and then pay ours back. That's the discussion for our board here tonight. But so far, proper documentation requested has not been forthcoming. It's too early to say that it's a problem, but it has not been forthcoming, some of it that they've had for some time. So that's where we are. And even, as far as I'm concerned, and I think this board is, we're not going to provide a dollar till we have our security, because it is on the taxpayers of Randolph County to repay this. Now, I want to say, it is also important to the taxpayers and the citizens and for life itself for us to have a hospital. And in 2.5 years, this is the only buyer that has been approved to purchase that hospital. Where do we take emergency cases? And it might be the difference in life or death for a person that can live long enough to get to Greensboro or Winston-Salem or to Chapel Hill. We have a zoo here with 1 million visitors a year. Heart attacks, falls, strokes, children get hurt. We don't have a hospital. Pretty soon, people stop coming to the zoo. So there is a consequence to not having a hospital. That's the reason that we have gone as far as we have in trying to secure a hospital for the citizens of Randolph County, but not without cooperation and documentation through our attorney for the buyer. Now, last Friday, that buyer delivered the check to Randolph Hospital to purchase it. So what we're deciding is, right now, what we're deciding tonight is just structurally how we set this up. This is not about voting tonight to go ahead and give them $3 million. It is structurally how we would handle that when that time comes. When we have our security, we have our protection in going forward. And that money would be distributed over time so to make sure they continue to provide health care in Randolph County. So we're trying to make it as secure as we can and to have a hospital here. So Commissioner Allen and I met last Thursday afternoon with the new buyer to go over these issues, what they need, what they plan to do with that. There's lots of needs at the hospital, and in terms of equipment, in terms of boilers and chillers and things like that. There's many beds in that hospital that haven't been used in years, and they're outdated and in need of proper ventilation, any number of issues. So that's where we are, and our intention is that any money that we advance is to take care of capital issues, the expenses of equipment needed to provide quality health care to our citizens. So I'm sure I've left out something, David, if you chime in here. But we're not voting tonight to advance money, but structurally how we would do that once we have our proper documentation to do so.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Bill stressed is that right now we don't know the architecture or the mechanism of how we're going to be forwarded the $12 million. That's yet to be decided. So to me, that's one of the things that we need to consider is the timing of how long is that going to be. Right. And we don't, that's an unknown that we can't control. I guess the other thing was that the 2 board seats, we learned Thursday that there was, that's be 2 of 13 board seats, which was more than what I think we probably had envisioned initially.
Yeah. That probably means that they will have 7 seats. The county, and that's our next business item tonight, the county gets 2 commissioner seats. So 2 properly elected county commissioners will serve on that hospital board, along with the mayor of Asheboro. That's by a position. When the Attorney General approved the sale of the hospital, and not to drag this out, but the issue there was Randolph Hospital has been a not-for-profit hospital for years and years and years. The new buyer is going to operate it as a for-profit hospital. So the Attorney General made some stipulations in approving the sale to a for-profit venture. And they designated 3 seats. So our 2, those 3, the mayor of Asheboro, that's 6 board seats. So if we're going to have a 13-member board, and David, that's the way we understand it, then they're going to designate, I'm sorry, we're going to have 7. No, that's right. Dr. Redding is one of the 3. That's right, we'll have 6, so they get 7 seats on the board. that is the plan for right now. Talking to Dr. Shackelford prior to the meeting tonight, he is a member of the old board of directors. That board stays in place at least through October of this year, while that whole bankruptcy process plays out. And that's the first I'd heard that in talking with him tonight. So I didn't know if that board was disbanded Friday or yesterday or whatever, but it's going to stay in place for several months or whenever. And again, to David's point, UNC's trying to get out of this. They're trying to pass it along to the local government commission. They don't want it either. So the way things move in Raleigh, that could take 4, 5, 6 months. And the buyer of the hospital needs some money because there are immediate needs at the hospital, serious needs, and they need to be addressed. So that's where we are.
No, I mean, I think, the actual loan, us approving the loan, the stabilization loan, our promissory note, all that looks, the attorneys did a good job drawing that up. I mean, it's very, very thorough, and it's nice to be, I'm used to be on the other side of the table with the bank, and they're dictating the terms, but they did a very good job of including all the different security interests and the deeds and all that kind of thing. So I think that's something that's not, to me, is a no-brainer. The other thing is it's a capital project fund, and Will, that means it's for a capital project and cannot be used for operating expenses.
That's right.
And that's, I guess, by statute, by counting too, that you once it goes into a capital fund, it can't come back out as operating.
There are certain expenses that we could say are related to the capital, and still it would qualify, but I think from the discussion early on, the reason it was 12 was to cover specific capital needs.
I think they need to make sure that's aware that any advance that we would make is for capital, not for operating.
See, again, not to belabor this, but when we borrow money to build a school, we sell bonds. And the sale of the bonds provides the money that we need to, in this case, build a new middle school in Trinity or the expansion at Asheboro High School. We repay the holders of those bonds. In this case, the lender of the money is the state of North Carolina. They're the ones loaning us the $12 million to grant to American Healthcare Systems to keep our hospital open and running. So the state has given UNC and the local government commission responsibility for making sure that state is making a good loan. So we have to repay the state of North Carolina. And this has been a working process, and it still is. Every time we think there's clear sailing ahead, we get another storm, we get another object in front of us. So that might be more than y'all want to know tonight, but I think it's important that, and we've been some of the same discussion we've had before in similar settings at other commissioners' meetings, but we want to make sure that the public knows the situation we're in relative to the hospital and what has happened and what needs to happen to make sure we do have a hospital. Will, you got anything further?
Back to the 4 action items, whatever the board wants to take, wants to do tonight.
I'd like to ask a couple of questions first.
Go right ahead.
Clarification on my mind, at least. At one time, we talked about the $12 million, and it'd be a $3 million per year payback, but now it's a $1 million per year plus 1% interest, as I see it here, correct?
No, the discussion right now for advancing the money is $3 million a year for 4 years. Our payback is the same. Isn't that right, Will?
Once we make the commitment with the state, it's 1 million a year plus interest. We
12
come
years.
up with whatever terms we want to provide the funds to American healthcare systems.
I got you.
It's,
I'm talking about the state part.
yes.
Okay.
LGC just kind of said they wanted at least 3 distributions, but it's up to us to decide. I mean, we can, pay invoices directly. If the board wants to submit money directly to them, then, you can decide that as well too. But part of the security is if we can hold the funds and see how they're using it and pay the invoices or reimbursing them for actual invoices, that provides that extra layer of security.
To take this plain speaking, if the hospital said, if we don't have some money in the morning, we're gonna close this one, we couldn't write them a check tonight. We have no basis. I mean, we don't even have them set up as a vendor.
Right.
So,
The other thing that I was wanting to make sure that before we do, and I think it's wise, is before we do advance, we need some collateral.
that's what this,
And you talked about that, and I'd like you to, if you will, kind of rehash that again.
I'll let Will do that.
Okay.
The hospital has 12 property tracts, and then you have security interest in the equipment as well too. We would file UCC filings, and get it, documented. But that's the primary security. If they were to leave in a couple of years and sell out, that we would have title of the property, and so that's our security. So that's the primary thing that we would have as security. But not providing them the funds up front, the whole 12 million up front, we're going to hold that back and reimburse for what their actual capital expenses are. I think that's another layer of security as well too.
Right now, they're asking for $3 million.
Well,
Saying they need $3 million.
yeah, actually, they asked us for 5. Now, I don't know how much y'all have been following this, the news, but there was the issue of the cancer center and whether or not the cancer center went with this hospital. And there's a Medicaid paid pharmacy discount at the cancer center. And because the hospital is for profit, then they're going to lose that discount, which is several $1 million a year. So in the agreement between Cone Hospital, who owns 40% of that cancer center, and with the new buyer, that cancer center will go away, and Cone is going to build a new cancer center. It has to be within 10 miles of the current hospital cancer center. In the agreement, Cone relinquishes its request or any debt it has in the bankruptcy, and they owe the hospital $2 million in cash. So again, given how long some of these things can go on, they actually ask us to advance the $2 million that Cone owes them, which we gave an emphatic no. That's Cone's business, and they haven't been a very dependable partner at any time through this process. So as I said, there's so many moving parts in this thing, and so much of it that we don't control. So we're trying to do the best we can with what we can control. So they actually asked the $3 million as fast as we could get it, and would we advance the $2 million that Cone owes them? We said no. David and I said no.
Well, I think from what we got in front of us, the first 3 are the those are things that we need to do. We've kind of already committed to to the loan. It's setting up the architecture, the structure of how it's gonna work, and the promissory note, and that kind of thing. To me, the fourth thing is, do we, you know, the initial distribution, how do we want to do that? That to me is the key. How much do we want to forward, and how do we want, as Will said, do we want to have them reimburse the county by submitting invoices? How that's going to be, how is that going to be done?
Well, I would suggest, again, just what's happened since Friday, or since Thursday afternoon. I would say we want to consider action on those first three and wait for a decision on the fourth till we know exactly what we're dealing with. Whenever everybody does what they're supposed to do, we'll consider doing what they're asking us to do. So I would say that we take action on 1, 2, and 3 and do nothing on action 4.
How about, if you will, for their purposes, read what 1, 2, and 3 is?
All right, 1 is to approve the Rural Health Care Stabilization Loan Promissory Note. That means we go ahead and approve borrowing the money from the state of North Carolina. Borrowing it and using it are two different things. Second, approve the promissory note and loan agreement with American Healthcare Systems. That's what they've got to provide to us for our security. We hired our own attorney at the start of this process. Christy Myatt in Greensboro, a partner in Nexon Pruitt. We did not use the hospital's attorney. We hired our own bankruptcy attorney, which we share the cost 50-50 with the city of Asheboro. So they have told us what we need in documentation. So that's what we're waiting for American Healthcare Systems to sign and adopt the Rural Healthcare Capital Project Fund Ordinance. That just means we're setting up a separate ordinance or a separate budget to deal strictly with Randolph Hospital. That's what that is. That's no different when we set up a capital ordinance to build a school or expand the jail or whatever. So none of those three are committing us to providing any funding to American Healthcare. Now,
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Allen. I mean, this just structure, we gotta have that architecture there to do anything, if the money ever does come through or not, so it was, have it in place. So, I'm agreeing
So-
with this, you know.
any more, you got more questions, Max?
Well, the other question I have in my mind, at least for clarity, is the $12 million from the state is available. Is that correct?
It's available, but the administration of that loan, the legislation says that UNC will do that. They're trying to get the General Assembly to release them from that.
It's like you got a bank, a letter from the bank saying, we'll loan you the money, but you ain't got no bank account, you don't have any way of getting that money. That's yet to be defined. So, yes, the money's available.
But the loan officer's on vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for that clarification.
In depth.
But we've got, at some point in time, today, are we, in essence, going to make some kind of approval that if it is, whenever it is available, we can have access to it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's made available, no, I don't want to say that. It's been accepted but not available at this point in time from the state of North Carolina.
Well,
From whomever it's going
it's
to
been,
administer.
the local government commission, and they approved our debt to build a school. They
Yeah,
approved our debt
right.
to add on to the jail. They have approved our borrowing this $12 million.
Okay.
The commitment,
Subject to the conditions
yeah.
Correct.
that we laid out,
Subject to those
The
conditions.
commitment.
which is in
there.
AHS's control.
Yes.
There is a commitment, but it's just.
And I'll tell you,
condition.
the one other thing that's making this seem, which is causing concern of dragging it out, that VMG did the feasibility study which is what UNC and the local government commission considered in their decisions. The LGC required a specific statement and a revision of that feasibility study because instead of 20 million, it's now 12. The cancer center was a part of that process. That cancer center's gone. 15% interest by the hospital in Staywell, and then by Cone and Staywell, that comes over to Randolph Hospital. All of those things have happened since VMG issued the feasibility study. So they're asked to revise that study and make a statement which is specific within the legislation that this, I'm paraphrasing, this is an acceptable plan.
But that statement has not been made.
There's been no effort that we know of by VMG to revise that feasibility study. And, I mean, that could take 6 months. And ain't nothing gonna happen, because that's in the LGC's decision. Ain't nothing gonna happen till that's done first.
I can see that.
Yes. Yes. So, and there again, that's a company down in Texas who did the feasibility study, and until they decide to put somebody on it and revise their report, nothing's gonna happen.
So we're not gonna touch any part of that $12 million.
That's what I'm saying structurally, but there's a lot of things specifically that have to be done.
Sure.
Right now, we have no financial exposure. Our exposure is what if that hospital closes again?
Yeah. So the company now is requesting of us, we'd like to get $3 million from you.
As quick as we can get it.
As quick as we can get it, we'd like to have it already in hand.
Correct.
Now, what you're asking of this board, as I see it, is how do we want to structure, or how can we legally structure to get that $3 million to them?
Well, that's what we're doing right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Now, actually putting that plan in motion is yet, if we don't do forward, that's yet to be done. That's just saying,
Yeah.
when we get ready, here's how we're going to do it.
Right. The first three, verse 3, well, I understand adopting your ordinance, I understand that, and we're putting into place, approving the promissory note and loan agreement with American Health System.
And that's up to them.
That's up to them.
Absolutely. They haven't signed or sent anything back to us. And they have it in their possession.
And I can understand us approving the loan for the promissory note with the state. I understand that.
Correct.
Because we ain't got our $12 million anyway. They're gonna make us do this before they talk to us.
That's correct. Yeah, the Attorney General and the Local Government Commission have both issued requirements, and not one of them's been met. Well, take that back, the board structure has, as far as our part's concerned.
Right. And only now you found out that it's 13 individuals for board structure.
And those three, we just submitted names. One was from low-income or minority community, that's Reverend Michael Trogdon. There's one from the Hispanic community, that's Roxanne Taylor, who works with the English Second Language with Randolph County Schools. She's on the hospice board. And the third, which sort of at large, was Dr. John Redding, who's been one of our board members from day one back to Dover. So those three, 2 commissioners, and the mayor.
That's your 6.
That's right.
And American Health Systems will have 7.
Well, if they go with a 13-member board, that's what they said. That they haven't actually appointed 6 more people, or we don't know.
No, That's what they said.
That's-
And really, the three, other than the two commissioners and the mayor, those three are actual, they're required locally, but the American Health Systems could reject those and then put their own people, whoever they want on there. Those are not appointed by this board.
We're not appointing them. We
These are just
recommend-
recommendations.
With those recommendations,
names.
yeah.
Correct.
So they could actually have more than the 7 if they,
Yeah, well,
Looked at.
even if they did 11, that's still got, that's 5. But
yeah,
I guess they gotta have 7 to give them 51%,
right.
half plus 1.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we do items 1 through 3 to approve the rural healthcare stabilization loan promissory note with the state and authorize the chairman to sign the note when it becomes available after American Healthcare Systems has met all the conditions. And 2, to approve the promissory note and loan agreement with American Health Systems, LLC. And then 3, adopt the rural healthcare capital project fund ordinance.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Is it okay
Thank
to
you,
do
Keith.
those all in one?
All right, we've had lots of discussion. I hope not more than you wanted to know. I think it's important, and we've been trying to, as I said, some of this is repetitious, but it's still where we are today as far as this board's concerned. Any other questions or discussion?
I agree with what you just said. I think it's important that they understand the confusion of all
Right.
that's going on, and along with the fact it's a kind of a up in the air situation day to day.
Right. All right. Good comments. Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And it passes. Thank all of you. Thank you for your interest, and I hope we didn't bore you too much, but it's a very important matter. Thank you. All right. The next item is the appoint 2 county commissioners, and I'm going to recommend that be the chair and the vice chair. Dave and I have been living with this thing, our weekly calls, and at least for, I think, in the transition in a couple of years, it's important that we keep that consistency. So that would be my recommendation to the board tonight.
Mr. Chair, you've been living with it. I've been visiting on weekends.
I'll make that motion.
All right, have a
Second.
second? Not here for a second.
Second.
Further discussion? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those no, and it's approved. All right. Okay, Hal, you got any?
Remind the board, July the 15th, we have a special meeting to hear, we have a public hearing on adopting some state mandated changes to our Unified Development Ordinance. We'll also have on that agenda a general discussion of recovery funds and some possible uses for that money, with an idea of setting a special meeting in August where some of these agencies can come before the Board of Commissioners and provide a little more detailed information. Again, that's July the 15th at 6 p.m.
And we had our state board meeting last weekend. I'm not going to get in that, but a lot of that time was spent on the Recovery Act and on the opioid litigation. And the only thing I'd say on that opioid litigation, no offense, Amy, in that litigation, the attorneys who represented various local governments, I think 78 of the 100 counties in North Carolina was part of the suit. The attorneys got $2 billion with a B, $2 billion, and it ain't enough. So they're still discussing how much more money the attorneys can get. Right now, Randolph County's share in that's about $850,000. So, and that's paid out over several years. So I don't know what we'll do with it, but we'll find something. All right.
Let y'all vote on it.
All right, we're going to have a closed session, and Commissioner Allen will read our motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we enter into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318.11A4, discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body, including development of a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiations, and pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143.11A6, to consider qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of employment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear, investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against the individual public official or employee.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those no. And we are in closed session. Thank all of you. There won't be any business to be conducted when we finish tonight. Thank all of you again.